Self-mastery, and what does that mean? The most important thing you could know in your life. Self-mastery means the ability to regulate your inner world, your thoughts, your speech, and through that, to regulate your outer world, your actions as well. Because most people are slaves to the external world. Get our happiness from things going our way, sense of self from what people think about us. And therefore we start chasing the external world. But really, the key to living a healthy life of joy and well-being is to start to regulate your internal world. The most important thing I learned on my journey, I lived in Asia for 6 years doing martial arts. I got a black belt in Taekwondo and a brown belt in Aikido. And I did lots of 10-day silent meditation retreats. Complete silence for 10 days. No reading, no writing, no listening to music, no phones, no TVs, no distractions. And we just did breath meditation, breathing in and out. Why is this so important? Because, and I think this is the most important thing you could ever hear, your whole experience of life is completely dictated by what's going on in your mind. I'll say that again in a different way. Your thoughts create your reality. If you're having sweet, uplifting, compassionate, non-judgmental, empowered thoughts, you're going to have a really good life. It's the soundtrack to your life. If you're having anxious, jealous, fearful, angry, hateful thoughts, you're not going to have a good life. So we need to actually learn to calm and control our mind, and then we need to learn to start having the type of thoughts that are actually going to give us the life that we want to have. That's it. Very, very simple. So in case you haven't noticed, you have a voice in your head. And it starts from the second you wake up in the morning. You wake up in the morning, immediately as you wake up, voice wakes up. Can't believe you did that last night. What do people think of you? You've got so much to do today. There's so much pressure. It's so difficult. And you've got another voice in your head, hopefully a bit more positive, is like, come on, you can do it. Get out of bed. You've got another voice in your head who's like your father's voice. He was never proud of you. So you've got like, I'll show my father. Then you've got your ex-boyfriend's voice in your head and your girlfriend's voice. You've got a lot of voices. You've got your teacher's voice in your head. You've got many, many, many voices in your head. And those voices are your soundtrack and they create your experience of life. And in general, your thoughts create your emotions. So if you think about the happiest day of your life, you'll feel happy. If you think about something that makes you angry, then you'll feel angry. If I insult you today and you get very angry, very upset, and then 3 days later, I go away, 3 days later, you start thinking about what I did and the insult, then you feel angry again because those thoughts create those emotions. And by the way, once you have emotions, you feel negative and down, then those emotions create less high quality thoughts. It's a feedback loop. Sometimes it starts with emotions. You just feel some inner emotion, some memory, and that creates your thoughts. But basically we have this loop between thoughts and emotions. And your emotions are how you're experiencing life. How you feel. I feel happy. I feel calm. I feel anxious. I feel frustrated. So we really, really need to work on sorting out this inner world. And there are two things you can do with that voice in your head. You can either smoke weed and watch Netflix. That doesn't work in the long run. Or you can master them. You can start choosing. Like, who's choosing what's going on in your mind? Who's setting that voice? Who's choosing that voice? So some people say, me. And I'm like, oh, really? So why do you keep thinking about your ex-boyfriend sleeping with your best friend? If you were really in control of that voice in your head, you wouldn't spend all day worrying about this and anxious about it. No one would control. No one would choose to have those thoughts in your head. How much of what you are thinking about are you consciously choosing to think about those things? For most people, it's not very much. It's just what's being played in their heads. And then they listen to it. And then that creates their sense of self and their happiness and their actions and everything that creates our world. So we need to work out how to deal with this in a healthy way. And you deal with thoughts and emotions in very, very different ways. What is emotional balance? How do you have emotional balance? How do you be an emotionally balanced human being? The answer is to be able to experience the emotion. To experience the emotion not repress the emotion. How often have you thought to yourself, I'm really upset by this? And then you thought to yourself, I shouldn't be upset by this. Now, how does that help? Now you're upset that you're upset. So as soon as you judge yourself for having the emotion, I'm wrong for having this emotion, I hate this emotion, my fault, it's not actually helping. So you have to, when you feel upset, feel upset. I feel really upset now. I feel really sad now. I feel really angry now. I feel jealous now. I feel envious now. However, an emotionally balanced person doesn't immediately react and make their decisions based on that. They don't say, right, I'm angry, so I'm just going to let the emotion flow. Expressing your emotions in an unhealthy and harmful way, harming other people, that's not okay. That's not emotionally balanced. Talking to someone about your emotions and crying and feeling it, that's very healthy. That's okay. So we're not repressing the emotion, but we're also not just expressing it in an unhealthy way. We're expressing it in a healthy way. This is how I feel. We're crying if we need to cry. Feeling in pain if we need to feel in pain. That's okay. This is how I feel. Because very often when we have an emotion, the emotion itself isn't so bad. If you feel anxious, for example, and you just sit there and say, you know what, I feel really anxious now, it's not so bad. What we tend to do is, though, we start thinking, why am I anxious? I wish it's going to come true. I hate being anxious. Other people aren't anxious. What did I do? And what you're actually doing is you're just building layers onto the emotion. People get frustrated that they're frustrated. Overwhelmed that they're overwhelmed. You know what? Feeling overwhelmed isn't so bad. You know what? I feel really overwhelmed now. It's when you start putting layers of judgment and hopes and stuff on it, that's when you're actually building the power of the emotion. This is very important to understand. Your thoughts perpetuate your emotions. So if you're going to be thinking those things, you're not actually just experiencing your emotions. You're thinking about your emotions. And thinking about emotions means that you're not experiencing them fully and you're building them. So we've got to learn to not think about emotions. We've got to learn to just feel them. That's why they're called feelings, by the way. You have to feel your feelings. I feel this way now. I'm not wrong. I'm not bad. Very, very important thing. For yourself, by the way, but also in parenting, validate the emotions. Emotions need to be validated. What's the difference between pain and suffering? Yeah?
Pain is reactionary, suffering is wallowing.
I like that.
I said pain is a good thing and suffering is not.
I think pain can be a good thing. Okay, watch this. This is pain. Pain is an unpleasant feeling. That's it. Pain is an unpleasant feeling. Either a physical unpleasant feeling, you bang your knee, that's physical pain, or an emotional unpleasant feeling. Like you split up with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, someone passes away, whatever. You lose your job. So we have unpleasant feelings, that's called pain. Suffering is your mind being a victim to the pain and not dealing with the pain in a healthy way. What does that mean? It means that loneliness. I feel very lonely. I lived in India for a long time on my own. And lots of the time I was pretty lonely. Suffering is this. I wish I wasn't lonely. I hate being lonely. It's his fault I'm lonely. It's my fault I'm lonely. I deserve to be lonely. I don't deserve to be lonely. I'll always be lonely. If I wasn't married, if I was married, I wouldn't be lonely. If I wasn't married, I wouldn't be lonely. But, so your mind is running around this unpleasant feeling. Why me? It's not fair. I don't like this. My fault, his fault. It's basically fighting the pain. Judging it, escaping it, comparing it, judging yourself, judging other people. That's what suffering is. Now, suffering is just building the pain. It's just keeping the pain going and going. What we need to try to learn to do is just be okay sitting with our pain. Now, that's very difficult, by the way, because we don't want to sit with our pain because it's painful. But once we can understand that not sitting with it is actually just going to prolong the pain. You can only really deal with pain by experiencing it. I feel the pain now. However, what we want to do is not be a victim to it. All of the thoughts that aren't helping, we want to be able to take away those thoughts that aren't helping, which we're going to talk about in a second, and just sit there and experience the pain. I feel sad now. Cry. By the way, cry. That's okay. I cry. I'm in pain. Sometimes The goal isn't even to get rid of the pain. I work with lots of parents who lost children. How do you get rid of that? That's the most painful thing in the world. How do you get rid of that pain? The answer is you don't. You don't get rid of that pain bad. You can choose to let that pain dictate your whole life and define your life. Or you can choose to say, I'm going to feel my pain, but then I'm going to turn my pain into purpose. I'm going to use my pain to help other people who are going through pain. I'm going to use my pain to become a stronger, more patient person. I'm going to become great through my pain. And in fact, lots of the greatest people I know are great because they are living, not overcoming their pain, by the way, but living with their pain in a healthy way, using their pain to become greater people. So many people I know are doing the opposite. They define their whole psyche, their whole life by their pain. I am the one whose parents got divorced. I am the one who was bullied. It's become their identity in a way. But what we're saying is, you feel your pain. It's okay, that's healthy. But don't let your pain run your life. You have to use your pain to become a greater person. And by the way, I'm not saying it easy. I'm not saying, chin up, lads, it's okay. You're going to take therapy and healing and somatic experiencing and mindfulness and many, many things. But we've got to start taking the responsibility to work on these things. Let them go, deal with them, heal ourselves. So that's healthy emotions. So how do we deal with these thoughts that aren't helping? These thoughts, they keep coming to us. Why me? It's not fair. If only things could be different. It's my fault. It's her fault. It's she's fault. How do we deal with these thoughts so we know aren't helping us? And by the way, sadly to say, for most people, a large percentage of their thoughts aren't helping them. A large percentage of their thoughts serve no purpose, by the way. This is how we define positive and negative when it comes to thoughts. Do they serve a purpose? Are they helping me grow? Are they changing the situation? Are they helping me feel good? We said in one of the last class, if it's not working, there's no point doing those things. And then I said, and it's easier said than done, but now I'm going to teach you how to do that. But the first thing is to identify what thought patterns you're having that aren't serving any purpose. What beliefs you have that aren't serving any purpose. It's not fair, why me, it's my fault, it's that. Those aren't changing anything, they're not doing anything for you. So how do we deal with those thoughts? See, it's very, very important to do that. So how do we deal? First thing is, identify which ones work and which ones don't. Then how do you deal with that voice in your head? Now, many people, there's different, I gave this class once and someone was like, this is CBT, NLP, DBC, ABC. And I was like, well, this is actually from the Torah. Everything I'm teaching you, we have sources. This comes from our ancient wisdom. And it might be CBT, DBD. But the Torah is like 3,300 years ago. And so whatever you're saying comes from our sages. Our sources are saying all this. So how do we deal with the thoughts in our head? How do we deal with thoughts that are coming all the time? We've got to become more aware of thoughts going in our head. And there are 3 things you can do with a thought. Number 1, go with it. Go with it. I am bad. I'm not good enough. It's not fair. I wouldn't suggest doing that. It doesn't help. It doesn't help just being a victim and letting that voice in your head say whatever it likes. You don't have to let the voice in your head say whatever it likes. Second thing is, fight it. You gotta fight it. I wouldn't do that. The voice in your head is much stronger than you. You start fighting it, the voice in your head is a bully. And as soon as you start fighting the bully, it gives them extra strength. Leave me alone, why will those fight it? I'm wrong, you're wrong, it's wrong. You're basically just making it very, very significant. And you're saying, you're giving it more power. The third thing you can do is acknowledge it. Not repress it. You're not repressing it. Just acknowledge it and choose to let it go. This isn't easy, but we're going to work on it. Acknowledge it, let it go. These are basically your 3 choices that you can make. Has anyone been surfing? So you go surfing and now you paddle out there and you're in the waves, and what do? Do you get on every wave that comes along? Don't get on every wave that comes along. In fact, imagine there's a very very big wave that's coming, and you see it and you're like, that wave is crashing straight into the rocks. Straight into the rocks, that wave. Do you get on the wave? I think it's a bad idea, don't get on the wave. By the way, do you repress the wave? No, you can't repress the wave, it's a wave. Do you fight the wave? No. What you do is you turtle or duck roll. Basically, you watch it, not repressing it, you watch it and you say, well, I see where that's going. Let it go. Let that wave go. Let that wave go. It's not a good wave. Another wave comes along, it's got a shark in it. Do you get on that wave? No, that wave. It's not taking you to good places. Do you fight the wave? Do you fight the shark? No, you lose your arms. You just don't get on the wave. Just let the wave go. Your thoughts are waves. Your thoughts naturally go. If you don't ride them or fight them, they go. In fact, you're just making them stay and making them be significant and making them be more powerful. Why? Because you're either just going with them or you're trying to fight them, which doesn't work. You can't fight waves, you can't fight sharks. The key is to be aware enough to know which waves you often get on and be conscious enough to choose not to get on that wave. That's it. Now, to be honest, that's a very, very high level of consciousness. To be aware enough at every moment to not get on those waves that you should get on, very high level of consciousness. Because most people are already surfing that wave on their way to the rocks before they even thought about it. It's like, I've just been getting on that wave my whole life because my mum gave me that wave. My dad created that wave for me, so I just get on the wave. Oh, wave comes, whoop, because that's my wave, way. So you're on the wave. The other analogy, by the way, is buses. You're standing at the central bus station in Jerusalem. You want to go to Tzfat. You definitely want to go to Tzfat. It's a beautiful, spiritual, holy, healthy, wonderful place. A bus comes along and it says, I don't want to say anything bad, but let's say a war zone, a terrible war somewhere. So the front of the bus says, going to war zone. So here we are, we're standing here, and the bus comes along. You want to go to Tzfat, the bus comes along and it says terrible war zone. Do you get on that bus? No, don't get on the bus. Few reasons. Number one, it's not taking you where you want to go. Number two, it's taking you somewhere very painful. Don't get on it. And don't be like, yeah, but my dad's driving that bus. I don't care who's driving the bus. Doesn't work. Don't get on that bus. Bad bus. Don't get on the bus. Don't get on that bus. So you've got to be standing there and be aware that bus comes along. I don't get on that bus. Once again, that's a high level of consciousness. You're already on that bus because I've been getting on that bus for the last 14 years. I keep getting on. This is my bus, though. This is my bus. So you're on the bus. It serves no purpose. It doesn't do anything good. It's not healthy. It's not taking you anywhere. What do you do when you realize you're on the wrong bus? Get off. Get off the bus. What do you do when you realize you're on a wave crashing you into the rocks? You suddenly realize, oh my goodness, I'm on the wave crashing into the rocks. What do? Get off. Get off, jump off. Now, if you're on the wave going towards the rocks and you realize, oh my goodness, I'm thinking about her again, and then you start beating yourself up. I can't believe I'm thinking about her. It's her fault, it's my fault. You just got on another bad wave. That's also crashing you. You got off that wave. You're not thinking about her, but you got on another negative wave, which is just, oh, I'm bad for thinking about her. It's my fault. All you have to do is get off. So how do you get off the bus? How do you get off the wave? All you have to do is this. Watch. No CBT. By the way, I love CBT and DBT and NLP. I do love them all, and they're very useful, and we can invest in them. I just think it could be more simple. What we could do is just notice you're on and say, take a deep breath. I don't have to be on here. That's it. It's a choice. Once you become aware enough, you can choose. I don't have to be on here. Basically, we're rewiring how you're thinking. That makes you more aware of those things. I've written it down. I've got these negative beliefs about myself. And even if you don't feel it, you're like, it's not going to be okay, and it's going to be terrible. I said, just take a deep breath and say it's going to be okay. Don't make it into a big thing. If you're already feeling the emotion, you're thinking about that person, or that is not fair, or why me? How many times do you wrote a message on WhatsApp or on something, and you can see that they saw it, 47 minutes ago and they haven't replied, that means she's sleeping with him and he's doing that. It's like, you're just building this whole world of misery. Or someone insults you. Someone comes up to you and they insult you, and then you plan a speech you're going to say to them. Well, I didn't treat you like that, and that's not how you should treat people, and I'd never do that to you. And I learned about this, and then you just do the same speech over and over for days. You go walking around and be like, and you never say the speech to the person. You just see them, you're like, and you're just torturing yourself with the same speech. Again, you're just drowning in that wave again. All you have to do is, I'm doing it, I don't need to do it, finish, smile, and feel I won. That's a victory. I won. And I guarantee in the next 24 hours, you'll get off a bus or a wave. You will. Just one. I guarantee also you'll drown in 50 waves and crash in 50 buses. You'll also do that. But the one time you suddenly realize, hold on, I don't need to do this, and you don't, for that second, it's going to feel like, oh my goodness, I can do this. I can do this. And then you get it twice, and you get it more. And basically, we're rewiring how you're thinking. We're rewiring your whole process. So you're going to start having thoughts, and you're going to just start managing your thoughts. In fact, what I would do, a practical tool, is to write down a list of bad buses. Bus number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not good enough. If only I'd done this. It's her fault. It's my fault. I hate myself. And then that makes you more aware of those things. I've written it down. I've got these negative beliefs about myself. I've got this stuff. You've written it down. So when that thought comes into your head, you're actually a lot more aware of it. And you can even say, hey, thought number 5. Thanks for coming, but I don't get on that bus anymore. Someone spoke to me the other day. I run an online mindfulness course. Someone said to me, how do I fight that thought? How do I say to that thought, you're not welcome here? And I said, don't do that, because it's giving you power. Just say, you're welcome here. You can come. The bus can come to this bus stop as long as you like. I'm just not getting on you anymore. I just don't get on the bus. Come as much as you like. And then it loses its power and it stops coming after a while. Because if there's no one at the bus stop's going there. Slow, compassionate, retraining yourself. After a while, by the way, you can then put positive opposite thoughts. Bus 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm not good enough. I'm a radiant being of divine light. If only I had done it this way, so I'll do better next time. And then you can start choosing your waves, choosing your buses, choosing your soundtrack. Start implementing positivity into your head. And this is really what mindfulness and meditation is. First, we need to clear. It's like a garden. Your mind is a garden. First, you need to pick out all the weeds and the thorns and get that clear, and then you can start planting your lavender bushes and your mango trees. It's like a whiteboard. First, let's clean the whiteboard. Let's get a clean whiteboard. I used to think mindfulness doesn't make sense, because the problem is that my mind is too full already. Mindfulness. But then I realized what mindfulness really is it means first clearing your mind, but then filling your mind again, but with good stuff. So clear the whiteboard. Someone else is just scribbling on your whiteboard of your consciousness the whole time. You're not going to clear it and then start writing really nice things on the whiteboard. Like, nice, I love you, that's cool, everything's okay. Everything's okay. Lots of people I work with who are struggling with anxiety, as long as it's not deep trauma anxiety, I just got them to notice when they're feeling anxious and say, I feel really anxious now. And that's okay. I feel anxious now, that's okay. And everything's going to be okay. Just say that. And I said, and even if you don't feel it, you're like, it's not going to be okay, and it's going to be terrible. I said, just take a deep breath and say it's going to be okay. And very many people I've worked with, they really say they've been in therapy for many, many years. But once you just simplify it, simplify it, it's okay. Don't make it into a big thing. Things are as significant as you make them. So if you're going to turn this into a big significant thing, as she was giving a class the other day, had an amazing insight. I often say to people, it's not as bad as you think it is. You got this problem, it's not as bad as you think it is. And then I stopped and I was like, oh my goodness, it is as bad as you think it is. It's only as bad as you think it is. However bad you think it is, that's how bad it is. You're creating it bad, you're building it, you're creating it. If you don't think it's so bad, it's just not so bad. If you say, you know what, I can deal with it, it's not so bad, then it's not so bad. And then before they make thoughts, they go through your glasses, your attitude, your perspective on life. Your perspective is very, very important. So if you can change your attitude to life, if you can change your perspective on life, you're going to change your whole life. And that's how we can build a whole healthy perspective and attitude to life. And then it doesn't matter what's happening in the external world. Your perspective on life. your attitude to life. Because what actually happens is all of these things, they happen, and then you notice them, and then before they make thoughts, they go through your glasses, your attitude, your perspective on life. So if you have a negative attitude to life, and by the way, people get hangry. I'm hungry. So you get very upset because you didn't eat. It means you don't have the resourcefulness. You don't have the resourcefulness to deal with that. If you're standing in the line, in the queue at the bank, and someone pushes in front of you, how does that make you feel? Well, if it's the girl of your dreams, you're not so bad. You're not so upset. If it's someone you don't like, then you get very upset about it. If you just won the lottery, you don't really care. If you just lost your job, you get very angry. You're driving along, someone cuts you up in front of you in the car. How does that make you feel? Well, if you're sitting with the girl of your dreams, you don't care. You're like, hey, let him go. You show off to her. You say, go on, let him go. I can go. But if you just split up with the girl of your dreams, you're like, ah, dude, ah. Your perspective is very, very important. So if you can change your attitude to life, if you can change your perspective on life, you're going to change your whole life. We'll talk about that in another session. I was just thinking about hungry, and then we'll finish. There's 3 levels really. There's physical, emotional, mental, and then there's spiritual, which we'll talk about tonight. We've spoken about emotional balance, and we've spoken about mental strength. But a lot of the key to it is physical well-being, physical nurture. If you don't feel physically taken care of, you don't have the resourcefulness to deal with your emotion. And that means being able to do a little bit of exercise. It means eating the right thing. I've got to give a whole class about diet and exercise, but not overeating. Doing things that calm you down. Smelling lavender oil just calms you down. Our senses are being bombarded the whole time. Car horns and news reports and people shouting, and you see things and you taste things, smell things all the time. That gets you very uptight, and then you can't deal with life. What you need to learn to do is nurture yourself. Have a hot bath with lavender oil. Have a glass of wine. Have a piece of chocolate. Not a whole tub of Ben & Jerry's, by the way. You have a piece of chocolate. Listen to soft, calming music. What are you putting into your system? What programs are you watching? What are you putting into your system? You've got to start doing things that are calming your system down. Look at the blue sky. Our Kabbalistic masters actually teach us that you should spend time looking at the clear blue sky. Very difficult in England, by the way, but you spend time looking at the clear blue sky, just calm yourself down. Another thing is to invest in creative self-expression. Lots of people I know who are kind of very stressed and uptight in life, I say to them, well, are you playing music? You used to play the guitar. You used to do Tai Chi. You used to do art. You used to do journaling. They're like, I'm too busy to do that. We need to be investing in these things that just give us pleasure. This healthy, creative self-expression pleasure. And once we're feeling physically resourceful and physically taken care of and physically calm, then we can deal with all the waves of life. Because for most people, life is just treading waves, treading water, and stuff is coming at us and all the time. So we need to learn to be able to step onto the beach and to just breathe. And that's through meditation. We're going to have a class on meditation, how we can go to a deeper place within ourselves and then live through that place. And that's how we can build a whole healthy perspective and attitude to life. And then it doesn't matter what's happening in the external world. Because once we've sorted out and made our internal world healthy, we can deal with whatever comes at us.